What if the quietest, deepest pain you carry is not about what you lost, but about what someone else found? Have you ever noticed the strange, heavy sinking in your chest when you watch someone else walk into the life you always imagined for yourself? There is a hidden wound that many of us carry, a silent ache that we rarely admit aloud. You scroll through a screen or sit across a table, and suddenly, there it is. The promotion you worked endlessly for, the relationship you deeply prayed for, the peace, the home, the recognition, the journey. Someone else is holding it, and in that exact moment, a quiet sadness washes over you. It is not that you wish them harm. It is not that you are a bitter person. You smile, you offer your congratulations, and you try your hardest to be genuinely happy for them. But beneath the surface, their arrival reminds you of your own endless waiting. Their victory feels, in some invisible way, like your personal defeat. We rarely talk about this pain because it feels shameful. We think we should just be happy for them. But the heart does not work in expectations. The heart only knows what it longs for, and seeing someone else hold your unlived dream can feel like a profound loss. Buddhist wisdom teaches us that suffering does not merely come from the tragedies that strike us. Much of our deepest, most exhausting suffering comes from how tightly we cling to a specific vision of how our life was supposed to unfold. We create a rigid script in our minds. We outline the timing, the rewards, the exact way our success should look. And when we attach our entire sense of worth and happiness to that one specific script, anyone else who achieves it suddenly becomes a mirror reflecting our perceived failures. We mistakenly believe that the universe has a limited supply of joy, and they have just taken our share. Imagine standing outside in the bitter cold of a long winter night, looking through a glass window into a beautifully lit room. Inside, someone is sitting by a warm fire, wrapped in comfort and light. If you deeply believe there is only one fire in the entire world, watching them will freeze you to the bone. You will press your hands against the cold glass, shivering, wondering why you were left outside in the dark. But what if the world is vast, endless, and full of warmth? What if your fire is simply being built in another house, in a forest you have not yet walked through? In our modern lives, we are constantly forced to look through these windows. We are surrounded by the curated successes of our friends, our peers, and total strangers. We watch them reach milestones that we are still miles away from. Stop for a moment. Breathe. Think about your own life right now. Whose success is secretly causing you pain? What dream are you quietly mourning, simply because someone else is currently living it? Ask yourself, is it truly their success that hurts you, or is it your own silent fear that your time will never come? Let that feeling rise without making it your identity. You do not have to feel guilty for the ache in your chest. Acknowledging this pain without judgment is the very first step to healing it. It is okay to long for beautiful things, but you must also begin to realize that their journey is not your destination, because the moment you believe that someone else is living your dream, you fall for one of the greatest illusions of the human mind. And this is where the next truth begins. 2. The illusion of the singular path. Here is a truth that is deeply uncomfortable to face. The life you are currently grieving, the exact dream you see someone else living, may never have been meant for you. We suffer intensely because we believe in a singular path to happiness. We think there is only one specific mountain to climb, and if someone else reaches the peak before us or takes the spot at the top, we have somehow lost our chance at a beautiful life. We become obsessed with the blueprint. We tell ourselves that by a certain age, we must have the house, the partner, the career, or the financial freedom. When a friend or colleague hits those exact milestones while we are still wandering in the dark, the mind begins to spin. We replay every choice we made. We wonder where we took the wrong turn. We convince ourselves that their life is the exact life we were supposed to have. In Buddhist thought, this suffering arises from a misunderstanding of how the universe unfolds. We forget the profound truth of conditions and causes. Your life is not a simple straight line drawn on a blank piece of paper. It is an infinitely complex web of causes, environments, choices, and energies that belong only to you. To look at someone else and think, "That should be me," is to misunderstand the very nature of existence. You are not them. You do not have their history, their unseen struggles, their internal weather, or their specific purpose. Imagine two small boats setting sail on a vast, unpredictable ocean. One boat catches a strong, sudden wind and speeds ahead, reaching a beautiful island in the distance. The other boat is caught in a calm, still patch of water, drifting slowly, seemingly left behind. If the person in the slower boat spends all their time staring at the island, cursing the wind, they will miss the deep currents moving beneath them. They will fail to see that their boat is being quietly pulled toward an entirely different shore, one that the fast wind would never have allowed them to discover. In our daily lives, this comparison is a thief of presence. We see a peer celebrate a massive success, and we instantly feel behind. We feel that our own slow progress is a sign of failure. But you cannot judge the journey of a lotus by the timeline of a bamboo shoot. They require different water, different light, and entirely different seasons to bloom. Think about your own life. What are you forcing? Are you chasing a dream simply because society, or your family, or your own ego told you it was the only way to be valuable? Are you suffering because you actually failed, or because you are holding yourself to a timeline that was never written for your soul? Pause, breathe, look at the path directly under your feet. Stop trying to steer your boat into someone else's current. When you let go of the rigid idea of how your life was supposed to look, you make space for how your life is actually unfolding. You do not have to chase the ghost of a future that belongs to someone else. But recognizing this illusion is not always enough to stop the pain. Because the mind has a heavy habit of carrying weight it was never meant to hold. And this brings us to the next deeply hidden truth. 3. The burden of the imagined future. What if the heaviest thing you are carrying right now is not your past, but a future that does not even exist? Here is the truth few people want to face. We spend so much of our lives building elaborate castles in our minds. We map out exactly how our success will look, how a certain relationship will finally save us, how arriving at a specific destination will finally bring us peace. We attach our entire identity to this imagined tomorrow. Then, reality happens. The job falls through. The relationship ends. The timeline stretches out indefinitely, or worse, someone else walks right into the exact castle you built in your mind. Suddenly, you feel crushed. You feel an overwhelming sense of grief. But look closely at this pain. You are mourning a loss, but you are mourning a ghost. You are grieving a reality that never actually belonged to you in the first place. You are suffering over a dream. One of the deepest lessons of Buddhism is understanding the danger of attaching to the unseen. We suffer because we cling to illusions. The future is merely an illusion. It is a projection of the mind, a mist that has not yet formed into reality. When we anchor our deep inner peace to a strict expectation of what must happen, we become entirely disconnected from the only reality that actually exists, the present moment. We abandon the very ground we are standing on to chase a cloud. Imagine walking through a beautiful, quiet forest. The air is crisp, the leaves are rustling, and the earth is solid beneath your feet. But instead of looking at the ancient trees or feeling the cool breeze, you are carrying a massive, heavy painting. The painting is a picture of a different forest, an ideal forest you painted in your mind long ago. You are so exhausted from carrying this heavy canvas, so obsessed with staring at the painted trees, that you completely miss the living, breathing beauty of the real woods surrounding you. The painting is your imagined future. It is beautiful, but it is not real, and carrying it is destroying your peace. We do this constantly in our modern lives. You sit in your room, but your mind is thousands of miles away, trapped in a rigid scenario of what your life should look like by now. You see a friend move into a beautiful home, and suddenly your own quiet, safe space feels like a prison. You see someone achieve a career milestone, and your own steady journey suddenly feels like a profound failure. You are carrying the heavy painting of what should have been. Think about your own life. How much of your current sadness is based on a true physical loss? And how much is simply grief for an expectation? What are you still holding on to? What are you afraid will happen if you gently set that heavy painting down? Is this thought bringing you peace, or is it feeding your fear of being left behind? Stop, breathe, observe the thought without following it. You cannot live in a timeline that does not exist. You must gently, deliberately, put down the burden of the imagined future. Do not abandon the beautiful reality of your actual life to mourn a phantom, because true freedom is not finally getting everything you imagined. True freedom is no longer needing the illusion to feel whole. But to fully release this heavy burden, we must learn a completely different way to look at the joy of others. And this is where the next truth begins. 4. The practice of sympathetic joy. Have you ever noticed how exhausting it is to constantly guard your heart against the happiness of others? We often operate under a silent, heavy assumption that joy is a limited resource. When someone else achieves the very thing we have been longing for, a sudden tightening happens in our chest. We force a smile. We type a hollow congratulation. But inside, we feel a deep sting of envy, quickly followed by a heavy layer of guilt for feeling that envy in the first place. We build a wall between ourselves and their happiness, believing that celebrating them somehow confirms our own failure. Buddhism teaches a profound and radical concept to heal this exact wound: sympathetic joy. In Buddhist thought, sympathetic joy is the intentional practice of finding happiness in the success and good fortune of others. It asks us to dismantle the illusion of lack, the false belief that the universe only has a small amount of peace, love, or success to hand out. Sympathetic joy reminds us that joy is not a finite object to be sliced and divided. It is an infinite well. When you learn to rejoice in the happiness of another, you are not diminishing your own chances. You are actually expanding your own heart's capacity to experience joy. Imagine a quiet, completely dark room. You are standing there, holding an unlit candle, feeling the cold. Suddenly, the person next to you strikes a match and lights their own candle. If you are entirely consumed by envy, you might turn your back to them, furious that they found light before you did. You remain in the shadows, trapped in your own bitterness. But if you turn toward them, their flame casts light on your face. It warms the room. And most importantly, you can reach out and let their flame ignite your own candle. Their light did not steal the fire from the world. It simply made the fire available to you. This is the profound shift we must make in our modern lives. When you scroll through social media and see a friend celebrating a beautiful marriage, or a colleague receiving praise you deeply wanted, your instinct might be to look away. You might feel a sudden urge to diminish their achievement to protect your own ego. You might silently list the reasons they do not truly deserve it. But every time you do this, you are turning your back to the light. You are choosing the cold. Think about your own life. Right now, when was the last time you felt the bitter sting of comparison? Ask yourself, does their victory actually steal anything from you? If you strip away your own ego, can you see the simple, beautiful fact that another human being is experiencing a moment of peace? What would happen if, instead of turning away, you leaned into their light? Pause, breathe. The next time you feel the tightening of envy, do a quiet, invisible practice. In your own mind, simply say, "I am glad you found your peace." Let the feeling of envy rise. Acknowledge it without shame, and then let it pass like a cloud drifting across the sky. Replace it with a quiet, deliberate wish of goodwill, because true inner peace is not found by hoarding success for yourself. It is found by removing the walls that keep joy out. But to truly celebrate another without losing yourself, you must first untangle your own identity from what they have achieved. And this is where the next truth begins. 5. Separating their success from your worth. What if the deepest reason someone else's victory hurts is not actually because you want what they have, but because of what you fear it says about who you are? Here is a truth that is hard to admit. We rarely desire the exact physical object of someone else's success. What we truly crave is the feeling of validation we believe that success will bring us. When a friend achieves a milestone or a colleague receives profound praise, the pain that hits your chest is not just envy, it is panic. It is a quiet, terrifying whisper telling you that you have been left behind. We spend our lives building an invisible scale of human value. We place our worth on one side and our achievements, relationships, and societal markers on the other. But when someone else achieves the very thing we are currently lacking, the scale tips. We look at their newly built life, their thriving career, or their flourishing relationship, and we suddenly feel incredibly small. We mistakenly believe that because they have gained something, we have somehow lost our value. We feel invisible. We convince ourselves that our quiet, steady, struggling existence is simply not enough. In Buddhist wisdom, this painful measurement is born purely from the ego. The ego thrives on comparison. It constantly looks outward to define itself, seeking external evidence of its own importance. But Buddhism reminds us that your true nature, your deep, unchanging essence, is not a currency that can fluctuate based on the market of human achievement. Your worth is not attached to your timing. When you base your entire identity on external markers, you become a prisoner to the shifting winds of the world. Imagine a deep, ancient lake, perfectly reflecting the bright moon on a quiet night. The reflection is clear, luminous, and unbroken. Suddenly, a heavy stone is tossed into the water. Ripples violently tear across the surface, and the image of the moon becomes completely distorted, shattered into 1,000 jagged pieces. If you only look at the moving water, you will panic, believing the moon itself has been destroyed. But look up into the sky. The moon remains entirely whole, entirely silent, and untouched by the turbulence below. In our daily lives, someone else's sudden success is merely a stone thrown into the water of your ego. The violent ripples are your feelings of inadequacy, your fear of failure, and your endless comparison. You look at a peer moving rapidly ahead in life, and your sense of self splinters, but the ripples in the water are not the truth. Your core worth is the moon in the quiet sky. It is untouched by their promotion, unbroken by their new relationship, and undiminished by their wealth. Think about your own life. Who are you constantly measuring yourself against? Ask yourself, are you allowing someone else's beautiful moment to decide your value as a human being? What would happen if you simply stopped weighing your soul on a scale that was built by someone else's expectations? Pause, breathe, separate the two things. You can acknowledge that they have achieved something beautiful without deciding that your own life is a failure. Let the feeling of comparison rise, without making it your identity. Stop trying to find your reflection in someone else's mirror. Because peace is not found by finally matching the pace of the people around you. It is found by completely stepping off the track. But to stop running a race you were never meant to win, you must gently redirect your gaze back to the ground you are currently standing on. And this is where the next truth begins. 6. Returning to your own journey. What if your greatest act of courage right now is simply looking away from their path and returning your gaze to your own feet? Here is a truth that is easy to ignore. Every minute you spend watching someone else live, their life is a minute you have completely abandoned your own. We spend so much energy obsessing over the timelines of others. We study their progress. We analyze the steps they took. We stare endlessly at the destination they have reached, trying to figure out how we can desperately catch up. But in this frantic attempt to mirror their success, we become entirely disconnected from our own reality. We become ghosts in our own story, haunting the narrative of someone else. In Buddhist thought, one of the most profound teachings is the power of radical presence. We suffer intensely because our body is standing in one place, but our mind is endlessly wandering in the terrain of elsewhere. We believe that if we just stare hard enough at someone else's finish line, we will somehow cross it. But mindfulness reminds us that the only place you have actual agency, the only place where true growth, healing, and peace can happen, is exactly where you are standing right now. Imagine a devoted gardener who is given a small, quiet plot of land. At first, they are excited to plant their seeds, but one day they look over the fence and see that their neighbor's garden has suddenly burst into brilliant, towering flowers. The gardener is so mesmerized and so deeply envious that they spend every single day leaning over the fence, staring at the neighbor's blooms. They measure the stems, they weep over the vibrant colors, but while they are staring across the fence, their own soil dries out. Weeds take over, their own seeds die in the dark, not because their soil was bad, and not because their seeds were broken, but simply because the gardener abandoned them. We do this constantly in our modern lives. You open your phone and lean over the digital fence. You watch a friend build a thriving business, or travel the world, or move into a new phase of life, and you completely neglect your own quiet, unglamorous, daily tasks. You stop putting effort into your own small steps. You let the weeds of resentment and exhaustion grow over your own unlived potential. You abandon your own soil because it does not yet look like their harvest. Think about your own life. What part of your own journey is currently starving for your attention? How much time and energy have you lost staring across the fence at a garden you were never meant to water? Are you actively nurturing your own life, or are you just sitting in the dirt, crying over someone else's flowers? Pause. Breathe. Gently call your energy back to yourself. Close your eyes to the loud, distracting noise of other people's achievements. Bring your awareness back to the solid ground beneath your feet. Tend to your own soil. Water your own quiet seeds, even if they are still hidden in the dark. Do your part, then release the outcome, because your life will only begin to bloom when you actually show up to nurture it. But returning to your own path requires more than just focus. It requires a profound, quiet faith in the slow, unseen work of your own pacing, and this is where the next truth begins. 7. Trusting your unique timeline. What if the panic you feel about being behind in life is entirely based on a clock that someone else invented? Here is a truth we rarely question, yet it causes us immense suffering. We treat life as if it is a race with a strict, universal deadline. When we see someone else living the dream we wanted, our first reaction is often a terrifying sense of lateness. We tell ourselves that time is running out. We look at our own quiet, unfinished lives and believe that because we have not arrived yet, we have somehow missed our chance entirely. We rush, we panic, we force relationships that do not fit, we chase jobs that drain our souls, and we make desperate choices simply because we cannot bear the feeling of standing still while everyone else is moving forward. We exhaust ourselves trying to match the pace of people who are walking on an entirely different terrain. We believe that if we just push harder, we can bend time to our will. Buddhism reminds us that much of our anxiety comes from fighting the natural unfolding of reality. In Buddhist wisdom, there is a deep reverence for the present moment and the natural seasons of life. Nothing in nature blooms all year round. Nothing rushes. When we try to force our own lives to match an artificial timeline, we create deep internal friction. We resist the exact phase of life we are currently in, believing it is a mistake rather than a necessary step on our personal path. Imagine a river flowing down a mountain, making its winding way toward the vast ocean. Along the journey, the water encounters heavy boulders, sharp drops, and deep, quiet pools where the current seems to completely stop. If the river possessed a human mind, it might look at a complete bird flying swiftly overhead, heading straight for the ocean, and feel a deep sense of failure. It might panic in those quiet pools, thinking it was stuck forever. But the river does not rush. It simply meets whatever terrain is in front of it. It yields to the stones. It gathers depth in the quiet spaces, and eventually it reaches the exact same ocean. The river is never late. It takes the exact time required to travel its own unique path. In our modern lives, we are constantly trying to force the river. We feel a deep sense of shame if we are still wandering while our friends are building homes. We feel lost if we are starting over while our peers are settling down. We see them flying like the bird, and we silently curse our own slow, winding waters. We forget that the quiet pools and the heavy boulders in our own lives are not punishments. They are the very things shaping our depth. Think about your own life right now. What are you desperately trying to rush? Whose timeline are you secretly using to judge your own progress? Ask yourself, are you exhausted because you are actually failing, or simply because you are constantly fighting the natural pace of your own journey? Pause, breathe, stop, trying to force the door open before it is ready to unlock. You cannot rush the seasons of your own soul. Let the feeling of lateness rise, without making it your truth. Trust the slow, unseen work of your own deep currents, because true peace is not about arriving early. True peace is about arriving whole. And learning to trust that wholeness leads us to the final step of our journey. 8. Making peace with your path. What if the quiet ache in your chest, the one that surfaces when you see someone else living the life you imagined, was never a sign of your failure, but an invitation to finally come home to yourself? We began this journey looking through a cold glass window, shivering in the dark, watching someone else sit beside the fire we desperately wanted for ourselves. We carried the heavy painting of an imagined future. We believed the painful illusion that there was only one path to happiness, and that someone else had already taken our place on it. But here is the beautiful, quiet truth that changes everything. Their life is not your unlived dream. Their life is simply their life, and your life is waiting for you to fully step into it. Buddhism reminds us that the root of our exhaustion is constantly wishing for things to be different than they are. We suffer when we demand that our journey look exactly like someone else's destination. But when you finally practice non-attachment, you realize you do not need to own a beautiful moment to appreciate it. You can witness their success, their love, their victory, and let it pass through you like a gentle breeze, rather than letting it strike you like a heavy stone. When you let go of the rigid script you wrote for yourself, when you stop weighing your profound human worth on the shallow scales of worldly achievement, a deep sense of spaciousness enters your mind. You learn the highest form of self-respect, refusing to abandon yourself just because someone else has arrived first. You no longer have to guard your heart against the joy of others. You can look at their beautiful, thriving garden and smile, knowing that their blooming flowers do not steal a single drop of rain from your own soil. Imagine the immense freedom of dropping the heavy weight of comparison. Imagine waking up tomorrow and no longer checking an invisible clock to see how far behind you are. Imagine looking at your own winding river, with all its quiet pools and heavy boulders, and finally trusting that it knows exactly where it is going. You do not need to force the current. You do not need to panic. You simply need to remain fully present in your own boat. Think about your own life. Look closely at the solid ground beneath your feet. What if this exact moment, with all its uncertainty and waiting, is not a mistake? What if this season of your life is exactly what is required to build the depth, the resilience, and the quiet compassion you will need for your own unique horizon? Ask yourself, can you finally give yourself permission to be exactly where you are without wishing you were standing in someone else's shoes? Pause, breathe. You can set the heavy painting down. You can celebrate the light in someone else without feeling the cold. Your worth was never in danger. Your timeline was never broken. Do your part in the quiet. Tend carefully to your own seeds. Trust the slow, unseen work of your own deep currents, and know that your true story is still being beautifully written. If these lessons touched your heart, share this video with someone who may need a little more peace today. Let life meet you where you are,